get back to basics. Guess I'll start it up again. What are your biggest concerns, your biggest frustrations? What are you having the most trouble with learning to play the guitar? In the description below, there's a link. You can book a video call, 30 minutes. I'll walk you through it. I'll give you motivation. I'll give you some tips. You can do it. I'm a left-handed guy that learned how to play the guitar right-handed, okay? Everything's backwards to me. If I can do it, you can do it, okay? But as Adam Duritz from Counting Crows said, we're going to get back to basics with this video. And we're going to talk about how to tune your guitar, what the strings mean, how they're laid out, standard tuning, how to tune your guitar, what it all means. And I'm also going to give you a tip on this little tuner that I found here locally, but you can get it on the internet. It's the best $10 you'll ever spend. And as always, I'm going to show you from your point of view. Okay, guys, back to the basics, all right? Tuning your guitar. So on the guitar, you have 6 strings. And they vary in thickness, starting with the thickest at the top down to the bottom. They start getting thinner and thinner, okay? They're numbered. Whenever you see certain people talking about this string, that string, it counts from 6 down to 1, okay? So your top string is your 6, 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. The 2 and 1 are unwound strings. They're just like a wire, really. Gives you that really high-end sound, and these have a wrapping on them. They're wound, right? And they're copper looking, right? Okay. For each string, you have a tuning peg. So 6, 5, 4 at the top. That's these 3. Well, let me get it in frame, guys. That's these 3. Okay. And then 3, 2, 1. Okay. We're not going to get into stringing the guitar, but, if you buy a guitar, it's already strung. Or if, you have somebody string one for you at a guitar shop, your guitar is still going to go in and out of tune. Humidity plays a big deal with the weather. I have a humidifier up here in the studio because the heat, it's winter, and the heat dries everything out. So I have a humidifier up here. But still, your guitar, especially if you ever travel with it and you put it in the car, and it's cold and then it gets warm, that wood will expand, guitar get out of tune. Playing it, bending strings, all the things, it's not going to stay perfectly in tune. So tuning is way more important to know than how to string it at first, right? Because you're going to be doing that a lot more, okay? So you have the 6 strings, 6 down to 1. Tuning key for each string, okay? Each string is tuned in standard tuning, and that's what we're going to talk about. There's all kinds of wonky tunings you can do. But for the most part, standard tuning, as the name implies, that's the standard, okay? So the top string, or the 6th string, is tuned to an E. E, okay? The 5th string is A. So E, A. The 4th string is D. So E, A, D. 3rd string, it's your last wound string, that's a G. Your 2nd string is B, as in boy. And then the 1st string is another E. So these 2 are octaves. E and E. Brandon, how in the world am I going to remember that? Okay, here's a little trick to remember it. Every average dad gets better eventually. Okay? If you just remember that. Every average dad gets better eventually. E-A-D-G-B-E. Every average dad gets better eventually. Okay? Now, for the fun part, tuning, okay? And I need to detune this a little bit because this thing is awesome in tune, okay? Now, these tuning pegs here on the first for your 6, 5, and 4, they're on the opposite side of the head, right? So you tune those, they turn differently to make it go higher, okay, than these. But you'll figure it out. I mean, you just hit the string, turn it away, you can tell it's going up, it's going down, okay? If you're under, so on this first one, it's going to be the E, right, the 6th string. First one we're going to do. I know, it's confusing, right? E. Under E is flat. The note is flat. That's flat, you can tell. Too far is sharp, okay? And tuners have come a long way. I bought this thing locally for $10, and I fell in love with it so much. The best $10 I've ever spent. It's a Stag tuner, okay? It has one button. Okay? And there's different things you can do with that one button. Just make sure it always stays on the C. That's for chromatic tuner. Sometimes when you try to turn it off, it'll move to the other letters. Stay on the first one, the C. This thing it won't pick up. It uses the vibration, so it's really accurate, but it has to be on the head of the guitar. Okay? And I'll show you. So it attaches to the head of the guitar. Okay, guys, I had to do some finagling with the camera to get it to, so you could really see what's going on here. All right, so these are all kind of set up the same, all tuners. It's gonna show low is flat. It'll usually have an arrow, and it'll go to the left when it's flat. It'll go to the right when it's sharp. And this one here is really cool because it stays blue until you get in tune. When it gets right in the middle, it's gonna be green, okay? And you don't wanna be flat or sharp. You wanna be in the green. You wanna be dead on the letter that the string is named. So the top string is E. Still ringing a little flat. Now I went a little sharp. There we go. That's pretty close there. A lot of times, the longer that string rings out, it'll eventually lose tune. Get it as close as you can, and then you can test it at the end. The 5th string that we're going to do next is every average. That's A. Okay, that's a little flat. Okay. And if you want to go back and check your E, don, 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 don. Your ear will get used to how those strings sound one after another as well. The next one's going to be our D, every average dad, which is the 4th string. That's way flat. Okay. Now we're going down 6, 5, 4. We're going down to 3 now, okay? 3rd string, the last wound string. That one, that's your G. And it's up here, it's at the other end of the neck. So you're gonna turn it differently. Again, just test it. whichever way it goes, higher or lower, let the tuner tell you. If it's to the left, you need to come up, right? It's flat. If it's to the right, you need to come back. Okay, these are all gonna be flat. That's the way I tuned them. Let me tune this thing sharp. Okay, that's reading way to the right. Just keep plucking it as you're incrementally turning it. Dun, dun, dun. Okay. B, that one's flat. I don't want to make it sharp. Your B string is the one that always breaks, and it always goes out of tune for me the most. Okay. So that was our second string. That was our first unwound string. Now we're going to do our first string at the bottom. It's another E. Remember, it's an octave. Okay, so if you want to go through them real quick, we'll start at the top. That one's all over the place. There it is. And then you can test it if you know any chords, like an E chord's the best. So guys, that's how you tune the guitar. And again, this stag tuner is awesome. One button though, like when I try to turn it off, there it goes. Sometimes it'll go to that other setting. Always keep it in C, the very first setting. It's chromatic tuner, that's what you want. Guys, in the next lesson, we're gonna talk about how the scale works and how, in between some letters, it's a half step in between, and it sounds really complicated, but what that means on the guitar, it will help you in this first position if you know that these strings are named. So if you know if that's top string, sixth string, is every average dad, that's E. If you know how the notes go, you know that E and F are a half step apart. So if I put my finger there, that's going to be an F note. It helps you kind of recognize, instead of just using chord shapes, why is that a C chord? Well, that's a C note. It names, we're going to get into that. We're going to get into whole step, half step. What that means is it's not as complicated as it sounds, but that way, just so you know a little bit of the names of the letters on these strings, because now you know what they are open. Every average dad gets better eventually. And then if I'm fretting it here, oh, that's an F note. Oh, that means that's a G. And that way, when you see other people playing, and it may be a chord shape you're unfamiliar with, and somebody's playing that, well, that's a G note. That must be some kind of G chord. Okay? We're going to get into that. Guys, today, when this thing airs, this is the last day of the $99 beginner course. This thing is regular $297. This is it. 11 o'clock tonight, Central Time. This thing goes back up. If you're on the fence, it's lessons like this, but they're all in order, and they're more in depth. And 2025 needs to be the year that you learn to play guitar. And let me help you do that. $99, you can't beat it. If you were to take, it has 50 lessons in it. If you were to take 50 lessons from a local guy at the low end, $35 is about the lowest they'll charge for one lesson. If you take 50 lessons, that's $1,750. This is $99. This is almost a $2,000 value, right? And you're like, well, Brandon, I can talk to the guy locally that does, well, you can talk to me too, okay? The link in the description. Book a call. I'll help you. I'll walk you through this stuff, okay? I just want to see as many people play guitar as possible who want to, because it's brought me so much joy. Guys, we'll see you in the next episode, and we'll get into this first position and how to name what notes some of these chords are and how to be able to tell it.